Hi, everybody. This is John Self. This is a replay of yesterday's Career Live. We had a lot of feedback, positive feedback on it, and basically, it's a presentation where we talk about the white collar recession, the fact that there are fewer management jobs than in the past, and there are more people looking. And so, what we try to do is define the problem and then set up some steps for you to begin to be more competitive. So we hope you enjoy this replay from johngself.com. Hi, everybody. John Self. Welcome to Career Live. It's a weekly Thursday morning program that we provide to the public who are interested in advancing their careers and are accelerating their job search. Rainy, stormy day in Texas today, so hopefully the bad stuff will come later this afternoon. Sometimes when the thunder roars and the lightning flashes, the internet goes kaput. So in a town that's supposed to be a medical school town with a lot of technology, that's sort of disconcerting. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. If you don't know who I am, I'm John Self, and for 27 years, I spent in global executive recruiting across the United States multiple times. I went around the world once. I've worked in 6 countries on 4 different continents, including the U.S., and about 40 states, 38 to 40 states in the United States. And I did a lot of work in healthcare and a couple of other areas, not-for-profits. And did a lot of C-suite searches, and we had great success. And one of the reasons we had great success is because we focused on the details and we held ourselves accountable with a 3-year placement guarantee. And what that means for you as a candidate, if the search firm is giving a 1-year placement guarantee, that's no guarantee. I mean, a drunk blind guy can walk do a year. Come on, let's go. Let's be accountable for our work. And today we're going to talk about you being accountable for your career and your advancement. And one of the things we have to deal with today is something called the white collar recession. Now, we've talked about this before. I've done a column on this in my newsletter that comes out every week. It's actually a daily newsletter, but we have a big content day on Wednesday. So if you want that content, if you think it's helpful, take a look at Substack, John G. Self Substack, Guiding Your Career, and subscribe. It's not very much money, and it helps us kind of pay the light bill. Okay, so we hope you'll take a look at that. Today we have a great quote about the first elevator speech. So visit John G. Self Substack, Guiding Your Career, and check it out. Okay, so yesterday we talked. We had an office hour session, and we really talked about some related topics. If you did not see it, there's some carryover from yesterday, and we hope that you'll check it out at your convenience. You can find that yesterday's office hours on YouTube, Guiding Your Career, my page, and just click the live tab, and you'll find a backlog or an archive of our previous office hour sessions. Okay, let's get with it. It's early in the morning. I haven't had enough coffee yet, and let's move forward. Press on. First of all, we want to talk about where we are and how we got here. And this is, we're talking now. This sounds much like a big disconnect, but we're hearing all this great news about the economy. We're hearing all this great news about how many jobs are being added. But guess what? Executives and managers are struggling to find work. Why? Because there's a white collar recession, or so Business Insider dubbed it. And we did a presentation on that a week ago. But today we want to focus on steps you can take, very specific steps you can take to try to deal with this really crazy situation. Companies really began to cut back on management for whatever reason. Some were economic reasons, some were individual business reasons, some related to consolidation, restructuring, bankruptcies, and that started happening in 2018 and 2019. In 2020, with the pandemic, it triggered massive reductions. You all remembered a lot of people were furloughed with some cash incentives and to stay around, and then a lot of people ultimately lost their jobs. And there's a reason for that, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute because it's an immutable truth about business. Now, tech led the way in 2022 and 2023, and they had their biggest cuts since 2001. And a lot of these people that were cutting were higher level employees, coders, software engineers, and between the 2 years, almost 400,000 tech workers jobs were eliminated. And those may not come back unless they need something, we have a new boom someplace. However, as Mark Cuban said, what's happening now is that the entry level and mid-level coders are not going to be needed because AI can code better than humans can code. One thing, if you've been in the job market lately, or if you talk to people who are in the job market, you know now that the recovery that everybody says we're experiencing in this country, which is offset a little bit by high food cost and the transportation cost, recovery has trailed for white collar workers, business managers, and executives. And some companies have announced they're going to continue strategic adjustments. Now, these layoffs are not related to broader economic issues. These layoffs are really related to individual business plans and individual business units. And so that we're continuing to see that today. So the time to hire is escalating. And again, if you're in the job market, you know that it used to be 3 to 6 months when I started recruiting, 27 years ago. It is then kind of edged up to 4 to 6 or 8 months. Now, unless you have a great, robust professional network, it can be 6 to 8 or 9 months. And even if you have if you don't have a good network, it can be a year to 14, 16 months. And with a 90-day or 180-day severance plan for a lot of vice presidents and managers, that's not enough to cover you. So you have to take into consideration that the time to hire is reducing. The time to hire is escalating, and severance benefits are decreasing. So this is something to keep in mind. When you get into the job market today, you can't run in and go willy-nilly. You can't run in and scattershoot. You have to be very focused. You have to be disciplined. You have to be intentional, and you have to hold yourself accountable for working your tail off to find that next better job. You will find out that finding a job in this market is not just a full-time job. It's a full-time job with a lot of overtime. Now, we are predicting, and several other people are predicting this as well, that the executive employment slump is going to continue through Q4 in 2025. So if you're in the market now, you can't sit back and hope that this is immediately going to improve or some short-term improvement will make your life a lot better. It won't. It means you're going to have to work very, very hard and be very diligent in looking for that next better job. Now, AI's automation is going to trickle down and it'll have an impact on executive employment with fewer numbers of management positions and fewer number of supervisory positions. And, it just goes down. It's, really originates with a lot of the entry level positions. And when you don't have those, you don't need as many people to supervise computers. And so it really, it's not trickle down, it's really trickle up, and it's going to be sort of avalanche up. AI automation will have an impact on executive employment. So even with the Q25 forecast for next year in terms of improvement, within 3 to 5 years, you're going to start to see significant changes with the implementation of AI roles. And people are saying this is not going to be a big deal. It's not really going to affect employment as much as people think it is. And there are a lot of people, including Eric Schmidt, the former Google founder, who says he just doesn't believe that. He believes it's going to be epic. It's going to probably happen in 3 to 5 years, and it's going to involve millions of jobs. And Mark Cuban said the problem is a lot of those jobs have been eliminated. Where are these people going to go? What skills can they possibly master when you've eliminated all the rote sort of positions? So it's going to be this is going to be something that's very, very critical for this country in terms of public policy, but it'd be deathly for people who are at that level and who don't want to plan their career and who say, no, it's not going to affect me. That's just crazy. That's the worst possible thing. Here's how I feel about it. The old joke is that none of us are going to make it out of life alive. Okay. Well, a lot of people are not going to make it out of this AI transition alive in terms of their career, and people are not planning for any of that change now, and that is a big mistake. And one of the problems there is a lot of executives, a lot of big bankers, a lot of Wall Street people are trying to kind of keep the economy going along because they don't want to scare anybody. And so they're saying, oh, don't worry, it's really not going to affect you. It's just going to make you more productive. And that is a large load of El Toro poo-poo. It will affect you, and you need to start planning now. So please consider doing that. Here is the immutable truth, and I found this in some of my journal notes from 1980. I've been journaling a long time, and finally I pulled something from my journal that was helpful. Actually, my journal has been very helpful for me in job searches because it reminded me of things that I had accomplished that I had forgotten about that were relevant for the job I was pursuing. But anyway, let's get back to this. Once a CEO realizes he can produce more with less, the fire sale of surplus desks and cubicles will commence. And that is a truth that I've seen throughout my career. Let me tell you something. We are not probably going to ever see a big resurgence in executive hiring. What we're seeing today is the market. You're going to see some increases and some decreases and some industry adjustments, but it's basically the new normal trying to find its footing. And what we're seeing today is kind of what's going to happen. The bad news is, these graduate programs are turning out record numbers of graduates. Now, yes, there's going to be some openings because a lot of blue baby boomers are retiring. And within the next, 5 to 7 years, the number on Medicare is going to double. So that will improve the executive level hiring somewhat. However, you have to understand automation and those other issues are going to have a counter influence on that. And so you have to be prepared with your career plan. And I think when management looks around and says, we got rid of a lot of people in the pandemic and, we've been able to continue doing business and meeting customer expectations. Gosh, I think we just need to keep doing this. And so once they find out that they can run with their business with less, executive resources, costly resources, they'll do it. They're not going to hire these people back out of the goodness of their heart. So for when jobs are available, the competitions it will intensify. For those of you who are in the market now, you know this is a blinding flash of the obvious. Okay, the competition is really, really intense. Even if you have a great network with a lot of people referring you to a lot of different jobs, and I'm talking about a core group of 6 to 8 people that are highly connected and that are calling you, maybe once a month or when they hear of new opportunities. And you want them these people need to be spread out geographically into areas you would consider working. But unless you have that, you're going to have to resort to online applications. And those of you who are in the market now and who are applying online know that there's usually 150 to 300 or 400 people for every position posted. Now, the important thing when you think about that is that a lot of the good jobs, a lot of the management and executive jobs, as many as 60 to 65% are not included in the internet post. And so, and a lot of the internet jobs listed out there are ghost positions. Tesla had one day they had like 3,000 or 4,000 positions, and the next day they had 3 on their listing. So that just shows that there were a lot of people out there, a lot of jobs out there they had no intention of hiring. So this is a new reality. This is your new normal. Competition for jobs will intensify. So let's talk about some very specific steps that you must undertake to combat this white collar recession. And these are not overnight steps. I wish I could give you the keys to the kingdom and guarantee you that if you just do these 5 or 6 things, that next week everything will be okay. No, this is going to be a foundation for you to manage your career and to look for a job. This is just foundational, and it's not going to be the instant answer. Let's start off with I love this cartoon, this drawing. We have growth and we have comfort, and growth is telling comfort, this is just not going to work out. Well, just put that in and just say, looking for a job in comfort zone, and think of it in those terms. And you cannot afford the luxury of your comfort zone. And who said that? Well, just about every job, outplacement consultant, career coach, career advisor that ever worked and ever lived. So this is you have to understand this. If you cannot have this, well, I'll get to it next week, or I don't really like that, so I'll make that a priority next week. That's a failure. That's a failure. If you're not doing everything every week that you need to do to find that next job, you're failing to advance your career, because it's going to take everything you have, every trick you have, including the kitchen sink, to be competitive in this market. So doing a great job is not enough. When I started in search, my gosh, and when I started moving my career from the newspaper business as a reporter and an investigative journalist into healthcare, I'm doing a good job, and that was your bedrock. That's how you move forward. Well, it is your cornerstone. Yes, it is, but it's now that's just not good enough. You're not going to build your brand just because you did a good job. You're going to have to be very intentional, very focused, and very aggressive about building your brand, because unless your name is on the tongue of every headhunter and every employer in your industry, you're going to have to work when you do a transition, because most executives are not household names. And those that aren't leaving aren't planning to leave. So what do you have to do? Well, first, this is pretty core. You got to exceed performance expectations. Good enough in meeting expectations. There are hundreds of people looking for jobs that met expectations. Hundreds, thousands. So you have to understand that you're going to have to ratchet up your performance game while you have a job. The next thing you really need to do is you have to be active in local, state, regional, national, professional organizations. And your participation, it's really based on relevancy. Okay, if you need to pick organizations where you're going to be able to leverage and build a foundation for advancement in your career. Yes, it's important to belong to community associations like Optimist or Lions Club, or one of those a lot of the other organizations that exist. that are local service organizations. But if your goal is to exceed nationally, that's not going to help you, obviously. So you may want to continue and to be a good citizen, a good civic-minded citizen. You want to belong to those service clubs as an executive in your community. But you have to understand that doesn't count for career networking, okay? Unless your career is based solely in one city, okay? So that's the comment about relevancy. Number 3, you have to be aggressive. You have to post, publish, and speak. So, and I think that we're going to talk about that the frequency in just a minute. But if you're not being aggressive but posting and publishing and speaking, then you're missing the boat. And if you're not doing it, even if you're in your 50s now and you're looking for a position, you've got to start doing this stuff because you may have 2 or 3 more positions before you retire. The average retirement age is inching up every year, and you're not going to probably get maximum out of your Social Security until you're about 67 or 70. So, you have to continue this. You have to do this, and you can't say, well, I'm late in my career. I can just slide on by. No, you can't. You won't be able to do that. Now, this is something else I think is that critical anchors, you got to have a communication plan. Before you go out into the marketplace, you have to think about, how do I want to be viewed? What do I want people to know about me? What do I want people to think about me? And what can I say, do, and write, and publish, and post that will reinforce my goals for what people will say and think about me? Because your reputation is extremely important, and you really want to be sure that you are, really doing a great job in controlling what people say. If you don't take control with a communication plan, if you don't take control, somebody else will tell your story, and I guarantee you will not like the story they tell. So online visibility, we get back to that. Everybody goes, no, I don't want to be visible online. I don't really need that. I've never had to do that. Why do I have to do that now? This is not fair. Well, if you want fair, come down to Dallas in October. It's called the State Fair. But posts should focus on relevant trends in your industry, hot topics, regulatory issues, things that are happening in your industry, because that's what people will tend to read, are the hot topics, the relevant issues. Stay away from politics, stay away from religion. That goes without saying. If you're an active job seeker, you need to be posting 4 to 5 times a week. Okay. And the evidence is that if you're posting, you're more likely to be picked up by one of the high-speed scanners that are constantly reviewing all of the millions and millions of profiles on LinkedIn. LinkedIn now has over 1 trillion members globally. And they're using high-speed scanners to understand, to identify talent. So if you're not posting a lot, then you're not going to be visible. If you're inactive, if you're a passive candidate, if you're happy with your job, not ready to step it up a notch, then 2 or 3 times a week is good. And you want a mix of organic and OPC, other people's content. Now, let's talk about another key issue, Networking 3.0. And now this is the most important tool for you to accelerate your job search. And if you're not doing this, you are absolutely shooting yourself in the foot. I just am astounded why people don't do this. And this is a key issue. So, we talk about Networking 3.0. It's tied to your career plan. One of the most amazing things to me, and I say this with great frustration because I've been talking about it for years and years and years, the importance of career planning and the importance of networking. But one of the great frustrations and disappointments for me is to run into really capable, really wonderful, talented people who could just make incredible, compelling contributions to communities, and they're struggling to get back into the job market, or they're on the sidelines for a prolonged period of time, or they've had to take early retirement. Why? Because they didn't have a career plan where they were going to go next, and they did not have a communications plan to support their brand, and they did not network. And their network, because it's about relationship building, you don't want to go willy-nilly. You need to be focused. Well, focused on what? How do you focus your networking? Well, it's got to be tied to something, your career plan. So immutable truth and tough love for the day. People don't commit to writing a plan. And let me say this before I launch into this sermonette. People who have a career plan generally accomplish their goals. And it's a Harvard Business Review survey several years ago. That's not a trend that'll change. People who have written plans and focus on those plans and execute on those plans, they generally accomplish their goals. Now, guess what? People who have written plans and execute make more money than those that do not. Flash, I always hear people say, how did that guy get this job? I'm better than he is. I've worked harder. I've had better employment. And now he's got this incredible job at this big health system making millions of dollars. I'm smarter and better than he is. Yeah, but he did a better job telling his story. He may have been a lot of phooey and had bad recruiters that couldn't see through the garbage. But he was out there doing what he needed to do. He picked up on this and saw this. So you may be better, you may be top notch, but if you're not doing these things, you're going to be on the sidelines sooner than you want. So why do people refuse and dig in their heels and don't come? Oh yes, John, I know. But then they don't do it. You might, because when you write something down, there's an implied level of personal accountability. If you write it down, you own it. You own it. Now, some people say, well, I like the flexibility. Well, your board wouldn't want you to have flexibility. I mean, they would, but they don't want you operating their business without a plan. They want a plan with accountable metrics so they can evaluate your performance. How are you going to evaluate your performance? If you write it down, you own it. And an unwritten plan implies flexibility, emotional and otherwise. And the truth is, flexibility is just a nice term for saying you're not holding yourself accountable. If you have a big goal, if you want to accomplish something that's outside of what you're doing today, and for a lot of people it would be a big goal to be a system CEO, to start a business and build it into a top tier organization, to work overseas, or to change careers and build a big not-for-profit that does incredible work for communities. Okay, those are great, noble goals. At the end of the week, ask yourself, did I advance myself toward that goal? And most people, the answer is no. What did I do to advance myself toward that goal? And with a career plan, you have metrics. What do you have to do to get to be where you want to be? That's not hard. This is not rocket science. You can talk to people, you can do your research, and you can figure it out. But if don't have a plan and you're not executing on that plan, you're just going week to week. And some people call that flexibility. I call that not being accountable. Now, the crucial elements of Networking 3.0, you got to create a career plan with definitive goals. You've got to be accountable. Secondly, you got to focus on the job search vertical. You've got to kind of narrow down where you want to be, and you have to adjust your connections as you advance, because as you move up, you're going to need different kinds of connections. You have to be intentional here. Then third, you have to limit your connections to a manageable number. Connections won't help you. Relationships help you. Connections that you just, hey, we're connected. So what? I have 15, 16,000 connections so that I can distribute content. But you'd be surprised, it's not as successful as you'd think it would be. So take a lesson from me. More is not better. Less can be more. Connection engagement. This is so critical. If you have a group that's very targeted and very manageable, Robin Dunbar, the British anthropologist, said it's 135 to 145. That's a great number. Why? Because you can consistently engage, and you have to be consistent here. Those are really important things for you to consider. So now I've given you all this information. I preached at you a little bit. I apologize. I believe in some of this stuff so passionately. So how can we help you? How can I help you? Well, we offer the flexibility of group coaching and full service outplacement. And I would say this, and for our group plan, it's called Your Career Community. You can find out about it at Guiding Your Career. It's johngself.com, and click the button still says they were supposed to change this and haven't changed it yet, but the button says the boot camp. Click that. It'll take you to the program page. It's $49 a month. You have online outplacement courses, 10 or 11 hours worth of content. You have weekly group coaching sessions, office hours, and lunch and learn. This is sort of a group coaching session as well. This will continue to be public, but office hours and lunch and earn are going to be members only. We're moving in that direction now. You have discounted one-on-one accountability coaching. For any of you who've paid cash for big time, coaching firms like Challenger Day and Christmas and some of those other big names, it's very, very expensive to have one-on-one coaching. If your company's paid for it, it's probably a 90-day program. So you have to take that into context. This on our membership program is online, it's on demand. It has the feature of hiring me to work with you when you need it. It's not, and there's no contract, it's month to month. So that gives you maximum flexibility. You have to be accountable, but some people want flexibility. So we'll give you the flexibility. Now, the Guiding Your Career Academy is an all-encompassing concept, comprehensive career transition planning. We stand by you until you place. Okay, in other words, it's a 6-month program, but we're going to stand with you until you place. If that's 18 months, we'll still be there for you when you want to talk to us. We'll be there if you want to do it every week. I will be there with you every week. I've had several people, and they will tell you that they had a 6-month program. It took them 12 to 14 months. I was still talking to them every week for 14 months. Because when we make a commitment to help you, we believe in accountability. We want to hold ourselves accountable, and we'll hold you accountable. This includes one-on-one training, and you also have access to the online courses. And it has a monthly payment program. I think there's 6 payments at about $450 or $500 a month. And that's market competitive. If you want to pay up front, we'll provide a discount for you. So that's how we're working with people today. The Your Career community, I think, is really a great opportunity for group coaching, also one-on-one coaching. It gives you flexibility to decide what you need, and that's just $49 a month with no contract. So I hope that's been helpful. We want to thank you for joining us today. It's 1 minute after 8, so I've got a lot in 30 minutes. I hope you'll come back and join us next week here at 7:30 in the morning on Facebook. It's johngself.com, Facebook, our YouTube channel, which is Guiding Your Career, or the John G. Self LinkedIn page. You can find us live on any of those 3 areas. Now, when we go to members only, we will be using our Facebook page for that, because you have to, there's one of our Facebook pages that is for members only, and that's where the live streams will be directed. But when that gets closer, we'll let you know, and you'll see a lot of promotion about it. So we hope that you'll take advantage of our program development. One last thing. There's so much information to cover, and we're trying to help you do that with a newsletter. And right now we're sending one out every morning. It features the old good morning quotes that a lot of people really liked and got a lot of good out of it. We don't just go on the internet and strip out these inspirational, tomes or these inspirational bromides. That's not what we're doing. We're taking these from my readings. I'm reading several books simultaneously. And we find interesting things and challenging ideas and concepts, and we share that with you every morning. Good morning, and maybe sometimes we have a short narrative that goes with it. Then on Wednesday we have our full newsletter, and then Friday the newsletter subscribers are getting the funny Friday photos. With everything that's going on in the career market today, I figured you got to have a laugh at the end of the week. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for joining us today. We've had several people on our YouTube channel and LinkedIn and Facebook. We appreciate you joining us. This will be available for replay this afternoon on Facebook, I think on LinkedIn, but it is always available for replay on my YouTube channel, Guiding Your Career. Thanks, everybody. We hope you'll join us again next week. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow if you join us for our career question time at 11 o'clock. You'll get a chance to ask questions, so I forgot to tell you about that, but it's at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.